Welcome to another Saturday morning Nerd. I'd like to thank everyone who's joining us live and everyone who's watching us in the future. We have plenty of stuff to go over today. I'm excited to get into this. And without further ado, I am Graveyard, and I'm always welcomed by a great co-host of this show, the floor to my teeth, the one and only Corglisi.
My name Corglisi, because I have corgis. Sorry, I am like working on my floor and Lila voices. They will be up later, I'm sure, but yeah, I'll have to watch the movie again before I can. Hey guys,
Hey John, how's it going?
We got John, we got Distance Nerding. I'm assuming that's gonna be Phil.
Phil, if he's at work, he was at work, then it's Phil. I don't think James works.
Hi guys, thanks for saying hi this morning. I know it's kind of early for you guys, so.
Or afternoon for some of us here in the central.
For me and you, yeah.
How you doing today?
I am doing well. I feel like I rested a lot yesterday, so hey, at least I'm awake. I've already insulted a couple people on Twitter, so hey, it's a good morning so far. How about you?
Pretty good. Prepping for. I have a concert tonight. I have to, doing the show, prepping for Mother's Day for tomorrow. So busy weekend. Busy weekend.
That is a busy weekend. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I forgot Mother's Day was tomorrow.
You're a mother though, so someone should remind you.
I'm sure they told me, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. So every day is Mother's Day in this house. I'm a spoiled mama. So that.
Well, thank you, John, for joining us this morning. Well, you're also in our area, so afternoon for you.
It's morning somewhere, so
it's always morning.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's always time to drink somewhere else. It's my house.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes in the morning, depending on what morning it is, depends on if you drink or not. Because I love me a good mimosa in the morning. So
Irish coffee, come on.
Oh, my dad used to drink Irish coffee all the time, and so I kind of got a little off of Irish coffee. I'll do some Kahlua and some coffee. I know to do that. So.
All right, you ready to dive into this thing today?
Yes, let's dive in head first. And
or let's drive in, shall we?
Oh my God, it's Adam Driver. He's so amazing, and his hair is so perfect. Okay,
so I want to get your thoughts of. I think it's been confirmed officially, hasn't it, that he accepted the position as Reed Richards?
Marvel hasn't said anything, and he hasn't said anything. So until they say something, it's still technically a rumor. So, so yeah, I don't know. I've talked about this. I just don't know. The reason he had such a problem with, well, he probably had more reasons than just the one, but the one he said that was his problem with Star Wars was that it was such a long-term commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to do his independent films and try to win his Oscars. But I think with the way the MCU is doing things, that he might have more of an opportunity to do side projects and things without having to just do movie after movie after movie after movie. Because he's in such it's such a big universe that they've created so far. So I'm wondering if that's part of it. I don't know. Everybody's talking about, oh, he should be Dr. Doom. He'd be so much better as Dr. Doom. I'm like, let's give the kid a chance. Let's give him a chance. He was in the military. Who knows? He had to be a lot of different people. And yes, John, I do really like Wonder Woman. You didn't already know. So, oh my gosh, my husband's in the chat.
Hey, husband.
And I was thinking, hey, if we're gonna go this route, and everybody wants Adam Driver to be Reed Richards, why not have Glenn Howerton
Mm-hmm.
be freaking Doctor Doom? Let's just swap them. Let's do it. Or Adam Driver is Reed Richards and Doctor Doom.
Interesting.
He's both at the same time. I mean, that could be an interesting thing. And I'm not talking like he's like has split personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Reed Richards is his mask and Doctor Doom is who he really is.
Interesting.
And that would totally, can you imagine that? Because that would totally be like that whole, like how Doctor Doom's always, thirsting after Sue and everything. And yeah. And it's just like, hey, I'm Reed Richards. I'm really smart. And yeah, I'm kind of an asshole sometimes, but whatever. And then it turns out he's Dr. Doom. They won't do that because it's too soap opera-y. But that would be hilarious, one. And two, no one would see it was coming, apparently, except me.
Except you. Well, I mean, you do have your own fortune teller ability. So, do you now? Let me ask you this. I was discussing this with Salem after we saw Guardians Tuesday, and I said that I don't think Adam Driver would be a good Reed Richards, but I've only seen him in the action and sci-fi world and not his actual acting ability. Do you have you seen any of his movies to think he can pull off a Reed Richards character?
Oh yeah, I think he could do that. Well, you gotta think about it this way. Reed Richards is not a straight up hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's a workaholic. He somehow got Sue Storm. No one really knows how he got Sue Storm. And let's face it, it's because Sue Storm has issues. She's got some self consciousness. She's not she doesn't think she's as great as she really is. And I think that's probably what happens. So if we really want to talk about it, she could have some sort of like, they could put trauma in her childhood, like her and Johnny's childhood, and that's why they are the way they are. And I think that would be great. And that's why she's with Reed. So then we get a better arc for her. And I could totally see that. So I think Adam Driver can do it. I think it will be interesting to see him do it because he did Marriage Story, where it's basically these this couple having a horrible marriage and trying to get through it, deciding if they're going to get divorced or not. So he has the chops to do it. He can do it. He is a good actor. I think I've seen him in, I saw him in The Last Duel, and where he seemed to play a very noble person, but he had that like underpinning of entitlement. And I think that's where they should go with it. Reed needs to be an entitled white guy. And that's why he feels he can do all the stuff that he does. And if that's where they're going to go, I think he's perfect for it. I wanted John Krasinski because John Krasinski is cool. And I've seen him in a lot of stuff, and I think he would do a great job. And we got that. And I think him being like a variant would be really cool. And to see him pop up when Reed talks to his variants, because I know in the comic at some point he did. I don't know a lot about the Fantastic Four. They're probably one of the spots in Marvel that I don't know that much about. Because the way that Reed treated Sue, I was like, screw you, I'm not reading this. I don't want to read anything about this. But yeah, I just really, I've never seen A Dead Don't Die. I'll have to look at that.
Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, Adam Driver.
I wanted to see that, and that's the thing. He's really good at comedy too. Like he can play the straight man, but he's also good at delivering comedic lines. All of his stuff on SNL is amazing. Like he does so good on SNL, which means he's a good improver. So I think that is also something in the MCU that you need to have, is to have that, wait, I know this character so well, I can improv this character. So I think I don't hate it. I don't know. And there were some people, like some things where I'm like, I don't know. I always thought Robert Downey Jr. was going to be an amazing Iron Man, because Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Like, seriously, their lives are parallel.
Right.
And I loved, absolutely, his comedy chops are on point. One of my favorite things that he did on SNL was the science room, where he plays the science teacher and berates the kids. Oh my God, it's so good. All of the science rooms are amazing. Watch them if you haven't. But the, what was I saying? Oh, but I thought Chris Evans was going to be great as Captain America. And I didn't know about Chris Hemsworth, but I hadn't really ever seen that much of his stuff. And then Tom Hiddleston too. I was like, I don't know this guy. And oh yeah, This Is Where I Leave You. Yeah, that's a good one too. And then, but some of the others, like I was just like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know, I don't know if the guy playing Clint's going to be good. And I don't know. And they all have done really well. So I mean, I trust the casting, because the person they have in charge of casting does their homework. So I think that's part of it, is that I just, so I'm trusting it. So if they want Adam Driver, there's something they saw in Adam Driver that they thought would be really good as Reed Richards. He's younger too, so he could play younger or older. And I think that that's also a good thing. So I guess we'll just have to see. But I'm like totally on the Glenn Howerton being Dr. Doom now that they've got Adam Driver as Reed Richards.
Right. All right. So then I want to hear our other 3 fan casting then for this Fantastic Four movie. So we have Doom, we have Reed. Who do you want as Sue, Johnny, and Ben?
Let's see. Sue. I hear Margot Robbie. They're talking Margot Robbie. And I wouldn't mind that. Although I think I'd like Jodie Comer better. I think she has been in so many different things. I mean, even just like Killing Eve, she's played so many different types of characters in Killing Eve that I think she'd be really good in that. And she's not as well known as Margot Robbie, I think, but she's still really good. She's got that classic beauty type that you need for Sue. And then I think, Kirkstad. That's really the only thing I knew him as too. And it was after I saw Thor and I went, hey, wasn't that Kirkstad? But I was thinking Jodie Comer. I like her a lot. And then, Ben's the hard one, because like there have been a couple that I'm like, oh, this person would be really great as but Ben is so hard because he's such a softie, but he's also grumpy, and so it's real hard to get that grumpy softie kind of thing. So I don't know.
I agree with that casting right there. Will
Sasso.
Yeah.
Will Sasso would be good. He would absolutely be good. There's an acquaintance of mine that I also think would be good. Tommy Bechtold. I think he might be good. But that's just me. And let's see, who else? Let's see, who was Johnny? I think Johnny's got to be a little snot-nosed kid. I think he's got to be like maybe 20s, maybe, mid-20s kind of thing, where he still thinks that he's invulnerable and can't die and that kind of stuff. So it has to be something like that. I'm trying to think of a younger actor that would be good in that.
Timothy Chalamet.
No. He's too emo. This kid's got to be the opposite of emo. He's got to be that kid that you see and you're like, man, he's so cocksure, and he's, there's nothing he can't do kind of thing. Austin Butler might be good.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but he's in Dune too, and I'm also like, no. I don't like to cross the streams, so to speak, where that goes. If you're in Dune, stay in Dune, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he might be good. Somebody like that, somebody that I don't have a front runner for that. I think if they got one of the up and comers that's maybe been in a couple of things, maybe something on Netflix, Amazon, and then put them in, I think that would be a good idea. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't have like set choices that I have to have. Recast Michael Jackson.
Why not?
You could. you could. Um, oh, what's that kid that's in? Oh, what's he in? He'd have to kind of have a face like Sue, whoever they get for Sue as well. Um, but not necessarily, like, not perfectly like that. Just have Jodie Comer do both. There you go.
There you go.
Just,
That works.
yeah. What if Johnny was a little sister? Kidding. That's a joke. Don't at me, everyone. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Johnny needs to be, you know what? Recast
Chris
Chris
Evans.
Evans.
So I think would be really interesting is if they do the Human Torch that was the android.
Oh, that would be cool.
So except this time he is built off of these dark centuries, and he becomes a Human Torch.
Like almost like an Ultron type thing.
Mm-hmm.
They could do a thing, because like with Vision in the comics, his was based off of Wonder Man.
Yes.
So they could have had like where something does happen to Johnny, and Johnny, the only they put his essence in there. So yeah, so you could have somebody do it. Yeah, that'd be cool. And you could have Chris Evans do the voice.
Exactly. That way you don't have to have his face, but he is a bot. We still tie it into the greater thing. Reed Richards maybe took over Stark Tower, so therefore the technology still may be there a little bit for him to play with. So he has a way to say Johnny's in a coma, but he had he's in a coma, and a way to help Sue cope with that. He creates a replicant essentially of
I mean, that would be cool. Although it could be more like, because he flames and all that. It could be that his consciousness is in the flame now, in that part of it, and so the body is not active, but the consciousness can go into the actual robot. So.
Right.
Jimmy Tatro? Jimmy
I have
Tatro.
no idea who that is.
I don't know. I saw a picture of him because he showed me one, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, I mean, something like that. I think that would be great. That would be a really interesting, and would also show Reed. It would just show how smart Reed is without saying "I'm a smart man" kind of thing, And I think that's a good idea. I think that's a really good idea.
Because we don't see that very often. Obviously, we had the Collector or someone had the Human Torch robot in their collection somewhere in a glass case. So
nowhere.
Yeah. So I'd love to see that the Android version of Johnny Storm.
Or maybe it was in the Captain America.
It might have been in Captain America.
Yeah, because I think that was it, that they had that suit as like just in a glass case. That's what I was like thinking about. I had to go into my mind palace and get into that particular thing. So give me just a second. Hold on. No, I got it. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Did it get okay? All right. So James Richard Tatro is an American actor, comedian, and YouTube personality. Life according to Jimmy. That's it. Oh, you know what? That would be a really cool thing, because they could just transfer that to, instead of him being this, what was it that Chris Evans was in that one? He was
Extreme Sports.
Yeah, Extreme Sports.
Racer.
Yeah, he's a YouTube personality, but his YouTube channel is all about extreme sports. That would actually fit. That would update it quite well.
Yeah, but we tried that with Doom being a stupid troll, and that was awful.
Yeah. Oh no, I think Doom needs to be like this, gorgeous person that thinks so highly of himself, and then and then you find out he's got this like one little scar, and that's why I love that idea that he is so narcissistic that he has to wear a mask because of that.
So, all right, let's move on. We have lots to cover here. So going from Fantastic Four, let's go dive into mutants and
Wow.
X-Men 97.
I am so excited for X-Men 97. I feel like we have not had enough mutant stuff. Like I'm like, we're in a mutant desert and I don't like it.
Right. So, I mean, did you watch the original X-Men animated series?
Yeah, I did. I watched that one. I watched Evolution. Pretty much, you put anything X-Men in front of me and I probably watched it. So, just because I loved the team. Like I was a huge New Teen Titans fan, and I read New Teen Titans and I read X-Men. Those were like my core. That and Wonder Woman were my core. Well, and Birds of Prey. Those were my core books. I can do this all day, by the way. But yeah, those were my core books growing up, and so yeah, I love the music. I love some of the stuff they did to them. I'm like, but I really still, I mean, I'll still watch it. I've watched all the X-Men movies, good, bad, and why the heck did you do that? But yeah, so I definitely
too good.
ready.
The rest are why the heck did you do that?
Oh yeah. I was just like, come on.
So
nobody knows how to handle Jean as the Phoenix. This is what we know.
Correct. Cillian Murphy as Doom.
Yeah, you know what? He would be good. He's a little older though. Yeah. Although that could get him like creepy pervy for Stu. That might be fun.
Yeah. So do you think, because do you remember where the series ended?
I don't. It's because I've slept since then.
So it ends with Xavier leaving with Lilandra into space.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah.
So they said it's supposed to be taking place very next season, the very next time frame. And I'm wondering is if they're going to continue off the cartoon that Cyclops will be the leader of the X-Men, and Storm was technically the leader of the Morlocks.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if we'll see two different story arcs with that, with her leading kind of the underground mutants and Cyclops leading the X-Men, or if they're going to do co-leads on this, because Storm led the X-Men when in the One Man's Worth, where Xavier's dead, and you have the alternate timeline where she's in a relationship with Wolverine. She has the badass mohawk, and she's leading the X-Men at that point in time.
Well, and at some point they had a blue team and a gold team, and they each led one of those teams in the comics. I know, at least. Yes. So they might go that way. I'm wondering, they've got to tie up that Morlock storyline, because, I mean, I loved it, but it was kind of depressing, and I always felt bad that they were underground. And I'm like, just be who you are and come above the ground, And sewers stink, guys. They stink. No matter if you have people living there or not, they're smelly. So get out of there. So yeah, I would like to see that. Maybe they'll bring the Morlocks to the mansion and have them, because they have so many X people. Then they'll have two teams, and I think that would be a good way to go. I'd also like to see Magneto come in and be like, guys, I'll lead you, because I think that would be cool. I always thought that was neat when he came and led them, and then Xavier was like, no, they my people, not your people, and but I like the technique.
Yeah, Magneto's led them before, and I think he's going to be supposedly in charge of the X-Mansion while Xavier is away. But obviously, he'll be more of the Xavier position, the mentor versus the fighter.
Yeah.
Because he went through a lot, especially in the animated series. So,
he did.
Yeah. And
the further we get away from uh, his original origin, the harder it is to make it that he was there and was part of the Holocaust. And
well,
so that upsets me because that's such a big thing with him, and he and Kitty kind of bonded over that too because of her heritage. So I'd like to see that in there too. So it's a big part of the X-Men is how they're persecuted and the parallels. And so
yeah, but I'm glad that we're not going to have a Wolverine-led show.
oh yeah. I think that my favorite movie that Wolverine was in was Logan, and that was because it was him. It was he, and I think that's where it is. He has to be that sometimes member,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that I'd like to see that. I'd like to see him as a special guest star. I mean, I guess if you can do that on on a animated show, but yeah, I'd like to see him in it, but I don't want to see him like lead them because I don't. He's not a good leader. He's not. He's a great character, not a good leader, and that's why he's a great character. So
Well, he can
he
be
doesn't take
a
that.
member of X Force and be on a separate team. We can do all the teams well. I think this is the chance to do it. But no, I'm definitely excited. I know Fours is excited, even though that that I can't think of his name. The guy who voiced Cyclops that died, Norm Spencer. Yeah.
Well, you can't. Like, I mean, the guy isn't there anymore, and I mean, yeah. So maybe they'll find somebody that sounds a lot like him, or maybe they'll go in a totally different direction, just to kind of keep his legacy alive. That hey, this is who was it before. We're not going to try to, you know, get somebody to replace him. This is just the next Cyclops kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, and as far as Cyclops, oh my gosh, he's so emo. Sorry, he's really emo. Look, you can't keep your girl. It's not her fault.
Well, he finds any girl that looks just like his girl, so it doesn't really matter for him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's got a thing
Bring
for
on Madeline.
Yep. All right. Well, that's speaking of people with glasses and fighting skills. Karl Urban, I don't know if it's official or rumor cast that he's going to be playing Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2.
I think this is fantastic. I love Karl Urban. He does amazing things in everything he's in. I've liked him since he was Cupid on Xena, Warrior Princess. So he also played Caesar.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah. So him shirtless, I mean him and anything, I am there for. I loved him in Judge Dredd. I loved him in Thor. I loved him in The Boys. I loved him on what was that? Altered
Carbon?
No, he wasn't in Altered Carbon. There was the show with him where he was the detective and he had an AI or a robot or android partner, but he was that I don't need a partner kind of guy. And I can't remember what it was. It was such a good show. Let me see if I can find it. But he was in that, and I loved that, and I was so mad because it got canceled after one season, and he was so good in it. And yeah, they both were. It was almost human.
Almost human. Yeah.
Human.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was so good in that. And then they just went, never mind. I think it got 2 seasons. I don't know.
I think it was 1 or 2.
And everybody was so good in that. And like it was honestly, it was such a good show. I think it was one of those that was a show before its time. Like if they had done 2, like maybe 5 years later or something, I think everybody would have really loved it.
So you watched the first Mortal Kombat, correct?
Yes.
Now,
I did, believe it or not, I did. I didn't do the video games, but I watched the first one. And the first scene with the fight. Sorry, my headphones are being weird. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first fight scene I thought was so amazing. It was so amazing. I loved it. And then the end fight scene was so amazing. I'm just starting to really enjoy fight scenes in movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like I've always enjoyed them, but like really appreciating them and seeing them more as a dance between two people instead of just I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop talking now.
So I mean, I love Mortal Kombat the games. Everyone knows I love bad movies, so I do enjoy the '90s Mortal Kombat movies. Um, you know, I don't know how I really felt about Cole Young being a brand new character that didn't exist to lead a movie like that. You know what I mean? So I think we need not have Cole Young there, or he needs to end up being an actual character because he seems to be, like I said, just a character created for a video game movie is problematic because we got Alice from the Resident Evil, which he was never a character and it didn't do very well. Now I think everyone else did a fantastic portrayal of their characters. I think Karl Urban would have been a perfect Kano because he is Australian.
Yeah.
I mean, he's close. He's not. He's New Zealand. He's a Kiwi, but he can do the Australian accent. He could have been a great Kano as well.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing about Karl Urban is that he's hardly ever used his he's hardly ever used his real accent. And in The Boys, it's so great that he actually gets to play not American because he's not American, and but yeah, I think I don't know. He's such a good actor and so good at what he does, and he really changes who he is to be and stuff that I think he's going to be great as Johnny Cage. I do. I think he is. I mean, he's going to take it and play it with gusto just like he does everything else.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "Yeah, I don't think my character would do this if they ask him to do something that he doesn't think would." And I think that's the best thing is that he's really collaborative. And so I think he'll try to make it as good as it can be. So I mean, there were some things about the first one that I was like, well, this is a little cheesy. But
it's Mortal Kombat. It's supposed to be cheesy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just want to finish him every time. I want someone to yell that out after like during every single fight.
Yeah, Phil likes Cole. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be in MK12. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good to do stuff like that because, like I said, we got Harley Quinn from something that wasn't an official canonized thing, and now she is canon. And if Cole becomes a canon character, we've always been following, Liu Kang, and we've reset the timeline so many times. But no, I'm excited for this. A lot of people were fan casting John Cena as Johnny Cage.
He's too over the top.
But so's Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is
I know, but not over the top the way John Cena is. Let's not talk about my dissatisfaction with John Cena, okay? Let's just not do that. Look, I still haven't gotten all the way through Peacemaker because I just have to bite the bullet and just do it because I know it's a great show, but it's the John Cena thing. And I'm not a fan of John Cena. And I know that's going to upset people. Please don't stop viewing because I don't like John Cena. There are a lot of people that don't like John Cena. So,
yeah, The Miz. Yeah, The Miz would have been good for it too as Johnny Cage.
Y'all in The Miz, I'm telling you.
So
I remember when he was on freaking The Real World. So, good for him that he actually got to do his dreams after making a fool of himself on The Real World. But, there's that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope hopefully this comes out and we continue this franchise as a series, because I think it's doing great things. I think they portrayed Sub-Zero and Scorpion really, really, really well.
They did such a good job on them. And I feel like that was the linchpin. If you didn't do them well, then it was just going to suck.
Yeah.
And so now that they did that and they've got that, at least we know they're going in the right direction. And so that's why I think Carl's going to be really good as Johnny Cage. And, I think it's going to be a departure for him because he's been playing such a, I mean, he's just, the last few things I've seen him in, he's been playing this like either really, yeah, he's been playing a total a-hole,
Yeah.
but he's also been playing those like really gray characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd love to see him in something where, although he may not be the blue Boy Scout, he's he's on the side of good, like, and because I really feel like he needs to do something like that. Judge Dredd, he was on the side of good to the point where he was just like, no, I know I'm a judge, but I got to get this done. I got to be who I am, being true to who I am. And I'd love to see him play that again, because he was that Judge Dredd movie. People did not give it the love that it needed to be given, because that was my favorite Judge Dredd movie. And I've seen them all. So
all two of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait, I consider Demolition Man kind of a Judge Dredd as well, but whatever.
Yeah.
Judge Dredd light.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our quick game here. I was hoping Fours would have been here today, but for anyone who doesn't know, Fours and myself and Fours' son last night, and we had a guest appearances by Mezzo and Aubrey last night too. Fours' first playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom. I know you said you caught a little bit of it. I didn't get to play it.
It was very pretty.
Yeah. I didn't get to play it because it was supposed to be delivered yesterday on the day of release. And it said, hey, it's at your parcel box. I go, cool. I don't have a parcel box.
Oh, no.
So I don't know where it is. So I'm disappointed by that. But playing through with Fours last night when he was playing, it's the system's 6 years old at this point in time. And while the first one was made for the Wii U and eventually came out for the Switch,
mm-hmm.
We are at the end of the Switch's life cycle. And with video game systems, we used to see a big difference between the very first games released and the very last games released for the systems. And we had about 9 years on the NES. The first one being like, Donkey Kong and the Black Box, and the last one being Wario's Woods. And you can see they're utilizing the hardware to its natural progression, and it's good. And this is still built on the same engine. So the mechanics are still there. I'd like to get my hands on it. This is still built on the same. I heard myself.
Sorry, that was me. I didn't mute something. I realized I wasn't in this, like, actually looking at the stream and all the stuff. So yeah. I usually have that on just in case. Yeah. So sorry about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looks great, but I have this discussion with my co-host all the time, is you have Nintendo fanboys and think that Zelda is the greatest RPG ever created. First and foremost, it's not technically an RPG. There's RPG-like elements. Also, there's other bigger, sprawling RPGs that are more open world that are able to do more.
Do you think that because of its success that RPGs have been more successful? No, you think that's just like totally different? Because like I love RPGs and I've thought about getting into Zelda, but I'm not going to go buy a whole new system just for one game. That's how I got into the Xbox, and here we are today. And so I play like maybe 7 games. So it's like, should I like it? Should I not? Should I try to get into it? Should I not? And right now I'm just like, I don't know if I want to. So I think that's part of it too. It's like new people trying to get into it. There's so much lore, and it's like, would I like it if it has RPG aspects, but it has other aspects? I don't know. So I'm so finicky about stuff. So
I mean, Final Fantasy is the standard for RPGs. That's the way it is.
Oh, okay.
Zelda was fantastic when we didn't have that many RPGs, but there's so many other good games out there that are also RPGs, that are more RPGs. This is still a Zelda game through and through. I'm not saying I don't like Nintendo. I have every system. I play these games. So, but I don't think, is it the greatest game this year? No. Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok better win it, but I don't think it's going to. I think Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, just because it's a Nintendo game, is going to win Game of the Year. And
It's just the nostalgia.
Yeah, and I think just because everyone started rating it 10 out of 10 before it came out, and it's just kind of a not a contest, when Ragnarok is a fantastic story. It's a fantastic game. It's great acting through and through. It's a great story. I think Ragnarok deserves to win it more than Tears of the Kingdom. Like I said, I'm hopefully getting it today. Hopefully I get to start playing it next week. After this Mother's Day, so I can't be playing video games tomorrow. So, but no, like I said, the mechanics are good. And yes, Phil, Forrest did like it a lot more than he thought he was going to. I know he went on a huge tirade on Distance Learning about how he wasn't going to be happy with it. He changed his mind.
It's nostalgia. I really think, especially in today's climate, that we want nostalgia. We want to go back to a time before the 24-hour news cycle, and we're just inundated with horribleness. And any way we can get it, I think we're gonna latch onto it and love it with all of our hearts. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I totally love Lila and Teeves and Floor. And I'm just like, I want to hug them and kiss them and hold them tight. Sorry.
All right, Elmira. Yeah, I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is a good game. Like I said, I think Ragnarok was hands down better. So, yeah.
We might have to get that one because I loved Horizon Zero Dawn, and I haven't played 2 yet. And the funny thing is that Husby got it for himself, and he played it, and I loved the look of it so much that I wound up playing it on PlayStation. It was the first game I ever played on PlayStation. Still the only game I've ever played on PlayStation. And but I loved it. I played it like twice. I went through it twice. That's how much I liked it. So if you're saying Ragnarok's better than that, we might have to start getting the God of War stuff and playing that too.
God of War was a hack and slash, and now this is a story-driven, emotional-driven game. And did you ever watch Stargate SG-1?
Oh yeah,
TotK.
All 10 seasons.
TotK is God of War. He's Kratos.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, I
Christopher
love
Judge.
him. I love Chris Judge.
So he is Kratos, hands down.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
that's what he's been talking about on Twitter. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. So, and like the first one is Disappointed Dad Simulator. So, boy, just angry with your son all the time. Right. All right. Well, we gotta get going here. Let's do a quick one here. Horror Corner Meg 2, The Trench.
So it's a huge megalodon just basically eating whatever it wants.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
wanted to make sure I was caught up.
So anyone who doesn't know, as if our group knows that I was posting about this because it is a book. This series has been out for 26 years. There's 6 or 7 books.
Still don't understand that. I'm like, how do you do 7 books on a freaking shark? It's a shark. It's just a huge shark. I know megalodons are other things, so don't at me. But yes, it's a big shark. Yeah. So let's go.
So the first book came out in 1997. That was the Meg. And in 1999, when I was looking for other books to read, because I had read all the Star Wars books and I needed more things to read, I saw a picture of a shark eating a dinosaur on a book by Steve Alton that says soon to be a motion picture in 1999. The Meg came out in 2018. So I waited 19 years for that soon to be a major motion picture to come out. However, not disappointed in it in any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, it is. Thomas said, is the Hulk of sharks. So the short story of the short synopsis, Sharksopsis.
Sharksopsis. Hi, Thomas, by the way.
Hey, Thomas. So essentially what happens is that the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean, Jonas is going down there and doing research because he said he was down there. He saw a megalodon shark. No one believed him because he's a researcher of it, and he had like the tooth that's huge, and everyone thought he was crazy. And essentially what happened.
How big was this tooth? I just want to know what you think huge is. Like bigger than your head?
Yeah.
Like bigger than like your torso?
Not bigger than your torso. I mean, but keep in mind, like a normal great white shark tooth is what, the size of your hand?
Yeah.
Sure.
So probably like maybe like head to like mid torso.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, cool.
Sharkopsis, yeah. So what happened was they go down there and they breach the Mariana Trench where it's warmer and that the megalodon and other creatures were able to exist. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's essentially what happened. And when they kill the first megalodon, the Meg, the carcass kind of goes down and by the Mariana Trench, and the blood warms up the path for more stuff to come out of the Mariana Trench. And
okay.
Yeah. So we get more into it, and I could spoil everything for everyone. But it takes place over about 25 years, the book series so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I have questions.
Yeah.
All right. So the Mariana Trench,
mm-hmm.
and then they go and then they kill the first one, because I haven't seen the first movie, so that tells you. And and then more stuff comes out. So there are more megalodons down there then? Okay. So this is like Electric Boogaloo, 2 Shades of Blue, or whatever the heck that second one is. So this is like just more megalodons.
Yeah. So essentially what happens in the book series is they, the female of the species is always bigger. So they thought they killed the biggest one and it was a male, but a female is also there. And eventually, I'm going to throw up the spoilers for a book that has been out for, a very, very long time. I don't know how they're going to do it in the movies. Essentially, she gets impregnated by a great white and has pups of megalodons, and angel of death and stuff like that. And the long running story is, no one believes them, and that's become this great thing. And then the United Arab Emirates makes a theme park for one of the sharks to make a sea world out of these creatures.
Okay. So they dipped their foot into the Jurassic Park type thing, and then their foot didn't come out and their whole body got eaten. Okay, I'm up to speed now. I get this. I get it. I like it. Okay, I might have to go back and watch the Meg, and then maybe the second one. So, and
yes, does Jason Statham punch a shark? He does.
Yes.
He does. But it's like I said, it's a fantastic story. The book has lots of people dying, more graphic details than what they did in the movie. Like you can even say that the megalodon is big enough, like in a diver's tank, it can just eat the entire cage.
That's good. You know what? Good for it. I'm rooting for the megalodon now.
Yeah, and it's just a beast, and that's the thing. It's just an animal. Is it really evil? No, it's an animal. Was Jaws evil? No. It's just
Jaws did have a chip on his shoulder, though.
Yeah,
he really did. See, that's the thing. You don't mess with animals because they don't forget.
Mm-hmm.
They come after you, and they ain't gonna forget. So yeah, so that's it. Because they don't have that. I'm just going to forgive you because that's the way to do it. No, they're animals. They're going to come after you, and they're going to come after you until they kill you. So,
yes.
Have good dreams tonight.
So I hope like I said, I'm a huge Steve Alton fan, the author of these books. Hey, James. I have all his books. He writes pseudoscience and cryptid type books. So he writes about the Loch Ness Monster. He writes about the 2012 Mayan apocalypse and how it's aliens and time travel, all that stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he goes to a crossover with the guy from The Loch and Jonas from the Meg series. And they go to Lake Voshtik in Antarctica, where climate change is causing underground lakes to be exposed, and creatures are still alive there too.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
you know, I've been to Loch Ness.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah. I've been to Loch Ness. We actually went out on a boat in there and everything. Didn't see Nessie, but we did like see, and you cannot see the water. Like it is so dark that, I mean, it's so beautiful. Like, so I was like, I might live here. I could live here. And I don't care if Nessie's here or not. She and I, Nessie and I could be best friends. That would be great.
So I highly suggest, if you like Loch Ness, read The Loch by Steve Alton. It's fantastic. Can't recommend it.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm not promising anything, but I'll see.
With the Kyber Cape Book Club, I'm gonna make it a mandatory reading.
You know what? We absolutely have to do the book club. We absolutely have to. That'll be fun. But then that means you'll probably have to read Jane Austen. I'm gonna get you back.
So, yes. All right. Last thing. Yes. Jaws went after specific people, specifically Jaws 4: The Revenge, where the offspring of the original Jaws went after the offspring of the sheriff Brody. So
that was okay. Yeah. That was a stretch. The first two Jaws, though, I loved them. I loved them. And this is why I don't like swimming in the ocean. Anyway, moving on.
Wow, show me the way to
Golem. Tired. James, are you okay?
I think he's doing an Irish song. Is my
okay? Yeah, probably
James's version of it, maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I'm leaving the spoiler banner up here because, well, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who has not seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, mute us for right now and come back and finish this part of the video, 53 minutes and 30 seconds in, and come back because we are doing the one and only spoiler.
So excited.
All the spoilers. Because I know you, madam, did a live Instagram with Phil on Wednesday, did the spoiler-free one.
Yes, we did. I tried so hard not to spoil anything.
So I'm excited that we are tag teaming this Nerd Out segment.
Yes.
Yeah, Thomas, now's the time. Take your leave. Come back at this point after you watch it and see what you think. So, Frey, I'm going to give you the spotlight. I want to hear your spoiler-filled review of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Okay, we open on... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go scene by scene. So, all right. I have to say this up front. My expectations for this movie, I had 3 questions. My questions were, who is going to make it out of this? How, what exactly happened to Rocket? And just like, are we gonna get a closure to the story? Those were the things that I was wanting, and it delivered on all 3 of those things, and it did it in an unexpected way. I did not think that they were gonna have take Rocket out of the picture so quickly and have his flashbacks be while he's in that half dead state, like in that coma. And I just thought it was a perfect way to do it because he's not telling anybody the story. It's like he's reliving it. And to me, it felt more emotionally charged that way. It was I just thought it was beautiful. That the story that they told about Rocket, where he was this sweet, innocent little baby raccoon, and he is a raccoon. But he was a sweet little baby innocent raccoon, and he turned out to be the only creature that the High Evolutionary evolved, that thought of new things, could work out problems. And it really made the High Evolutionary that much more evil, that he was so focused on getting Rocket back not so he could use him to help him, but so he could take his brain out and dissect it.
Yes.
I mean, it was that pure mad scientist, that evil, maniacal, mad scientist, and it made me hate him. And I have never felt so much like, yeah, Peter, you messed this guy up. And yeah, Groot, you take out all those guns and you just like kill everybody. Do it. I wanted him to like kill him and then crush his bones and make soup out of it. That's how much I disliked that. So the actor who did it was amazing, and I cannot say his name. I know it's a Chede Itaway or something like that. I can't say it, but he did such an amazing job, and he put so much heart and soul and depth into the evilness of that character that I was just like, and the face-off thing, they kept saying, it's a face-off, and then it literally was a face-off. They took his face off, and that was gross. And I was all there for, I was like, yeah, you know what, you deserved that, you deserved it. So
I want to take his face off.
Right? Yeah. No, I just thought it was great. It was like, it's a trap. No, it's not. It's a face off. And I was like, okay, here we go. And Peter keeping saying that it's a face off. It's a face off. I thought that was great. I think my favorite like comedic relief was Kraglin and Cosmo, where Kraglin calls her a bad dog and she will not let it go.
Take it back.
And they're playing poker and and she's like, when I was in Russia, and she just starts going off on this, like, but never would they call me bad dog. And they're like, oh my God, Kraglin, just tell her she's a good dog. And he's like, I will tell her she's a good dog when she is one.
Yes.
I was like, oh. And all I could think was, this is probably how Sean Gunn and James Gunn acted when they were kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Like James Gunn knew something was going to get to Sean, and he just like said it. And then Sean would just be like, no, you can't say that. You got to Mom, make him take it back and stuff like that. And she was just like, I'm not involved in it. That kind of sibling thing. Oh my gosh. I thought it was great. And then at the end when they had that one of the Hellspawn, and it was like, oh, it's a dog, and he was like, no, she's a good dog. And then she just clapped him. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. And everybody got to be the hero, and they got to be the hero in surprising ways. Like Drax got to be the hero because he could understand the language that the kids were speaking. So he got to be the hero and save all of them.
Jump.
Yeah, jump. EO jump. And Mantis got to be the hero, and her being like, you're an idiot. No, you really are an idiot, Drax. And then she just made him forget after she was like, I would never do that to that is horrible. And she just does it. And I was like, yeah, that's about right for Mantis. And Nebula being the adultier adult in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebula was my favorite. She was my favorite character in this one. I thought she just did, Karen Gillan is such a good actor, and to have her be the adultier adult was just amazing. It really was. And I liked that that we got a little bit of like old school Star-Lord, but like more mature old school Star-Lord. Like he was like, look, I know I'm an F-boy, so I'm going to kind of use that, and then I'm going to turn it on its head. And I liked that part of it, because in the first one, he was a total F-boy. And then in the second one, he was, goo goo gaga for Gamora. And then in this one, he's so sad about Gamora. And then he, they see each other, and it's like, and he's like, well, that whole scene where he's like, oh, and then she came back as a dick, kind of thing. I was like, This is awesome. And even seeing it in the trailer and then seeing it in the movie, I loved it. I was just like, yeah, I love it. And Nebula going, He left out some stuff, but that's the gist of it. I just thought that was great. Like she had been here. It looked like she had heard it so many times. And she's like, dude, I was there. And he just can't stop telling it.
Right.
This is what happened. And, you know, and so it felt like a huge family that really is in sync with each other. And then at the end, they're just like, hey, we're just going to go our separate ways now. And the way that they did it I thought was really touching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole group saying, I love you guys at the end, I thought was great too. So
hey, Say Wong. So, you know,
hi, Say Wong.
So Phil wants a high evolutionary to be a king variant. Maybe.
But they're really not. But I would love to see the actor come back.
Yeah.
So if they had to do that, like if they have to get rid of Jonathan Majors, I would not mind him being king.
Now, you know my crazy theory with the high evolutionary, where I want that to go into Mr. Sinister. Not shy about that in any stretch of the imagination, right?
I'd like to see them as brothers. Like maybe they're twin brothers or something, or like he's a clone of, or the high evolutionary is a clone. Because I mean, Mr. Sinister is all about clones, so they could absolutely do that.
Oh, that's what the internet's saying. Well, I don't know. We don't.
I think that Matthew McFadden is going to be Mr. Sinister in Deadpool 3. I think that's who he is, because they talk about the Essex house, and I think that's who he's going to be. So
I don't Stranger Things.
He's in Succession. He's what's her name's husband.
We don't watch that.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff, but he's a English actor that has been in a lot of things. You probably have seen something he's been in, but he's really good. Yeah, he's a really Matthew McFadden is his name, but he's really good. He was in Pride and Prejudice, which I know you probably haven't seen. And he played Mr. Darcy in that, and he was kind of a dick in that. And I think he could do a really good job, because he's got that I'm going to talk you into stuff, but then, you know, I'm doing it for nefarious reasons kind of thing. So he's got that underlying, like, you know, don't trust me kind of thing. And I think he would be good as him. So, and I'm all for him being, that's my thing, is I think he's going to be Mr. Sinister in Deadpool 3.
Nice.
So they've been dancing around it since X-Men Apocalypse. So
yeah, because of the case that's an Essex on it.
Yeah. And then Essex House was where the kid was from. So I mean, that right there, you got little breadcrumbs, so I could see that happening. Yeah.
So I mean, yes, there's a lot of stuff in this in Guardians 3 that was there. You know, I'm gonna touch a couple points that you discussed. You know, with Mantis brainwashing Drax to say forget. Do you feel like that's not the first time she's done that?
Oh, I'm sure she's done it a lot. And I'm sure she's done. It's one of those things where, so it reminded me of Zatanna in Infinite Crisis, where they had to basically reprogram the evil Dr. Light's brain, because he did some really bad stuff. Like he was raping people. And she like basically spaghettied his brain. And it reminded me of that, where it was, she did it because she doesn't want people. Mantis does it for a good reason. She's like, well, so did Zatanna, but totally different reasons. That she doesn't want Drax to feel bad. Right. And her and Drax are best friends, and you can tell they're best friends. I mean, he wanted to go with her. He was like, I need to protect you. And she was like, you don't need to protect me, you know, kind of thing. And I thought it was great. I loved that she made the aboleths, like they're her pets now. They're just like, you know, they're her friends. She's just gonna have all three of them. And I thought, well, that's great. So I think it shows that, you know, everybody thought Mantis was weak, and she's not. And that's where I'm saying, like, they got to be the hero. She got to be the hero there. She was like, they don't care about us. They just want the batteries, you know? And then they're all riding them out, and it's like, what? You know? And she knew they couldn't stay there. She knew that they had to go. And so she was going with them.
Right.
And Drax had to stay there because, you know, as Nebula said, you weren't born to be a destroyer. You were born to be a dad.
Right.
And now he's got a lot of kids to be a dad for.
Yeah.
And the whole Phyla, oh my gosh, that they introduced Phyla Vel. And we've got Love, who may or may not be Moon Dancer. Moon Dancer, is that right? Moon Dragon. I don't know why I said Moon Dancer. Moon Dragon. She might be, she might not be. Some people say Singularity. Some people say Moon Dragon. Being that Phyla Vel has been introduced, I'm thinking they're going Moon Dragon. And I just think that's going to be a really cool team up for them.
That was Moon Dragon, Drax's daughter?
So yeah, supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Phyla Vel is supposed to be not Marvel's daughter. Maybe it is Marvel's daughter.
I thought it was she was supposed to be like a clone or a redoing of Marvel.
Yeah, it was like something like that. She gets to be Quasar at some point. And yeah, so I just, there's so many possibilities with those two young characters that I can't wait to see what they do. And they're basically the next generation of cosmic characters.
The next Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, but they're more Infinity, the Infinity Force or whatever they were called. Yeah. I can't remember, but yeah, and they've already done the Infinity Stones, so they don't have that. So I would love to see them be like Cosmic Avengers or whatever. So, yeah.
So let's talk the ending.
Well, first, before you do that, Groot going Kaiju
Groot?
Yeah, was fantastic.
Yes.
And they're like, go Kaiju, Groot. And Peter's like, no Kaiju. He's like, guys, stop. You know? I just thought that was great. And the whole like Drax wanting to lay down on the couch.
Yeah.
Hilarious. He's just like, I'm so comfortable. Let me Drax, you know, so I thought it was great. Anyway, let's go to the end.
Well, before that, let's talk. What do you think of Quill when High Evolutionary is going to his tirade, his monologue? He's like, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God.
How
many times do I have to go through you guys monologuing before I can just shoot you? You know, I mean, it was that. Yeah. Very much Indiana Jones in space.
Yeah, I felt like that it was needed, and he's the only one to really acknowledge stuff like that happening.
Yeah.
Going, I don't care. Like, he's just shot. Like, never give him time to monologue. Just shoot them.
Yeah. Well, and the whole him holding up his, like, I was like, oh, no, he didn't. I mean, I was like, oh, we're already. And then Groot having the wings, and them taking the guy's like thing out while he was underwater. I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to see him become somebody else. That guy, like with revenge and stuff. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him become Mojo. And then we get Mojo World.
No, Will Sasso is Mojo.
He's either Ben Grimm or Mojo.
Yeah, why not both?
Why not both?
No, before we do the ending, let's talk how I am a monster and don't cry at things while other people do. Should we talk those big three moments?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I cried throughout all of it. Like, I cried in the beginning when they introduced when Rocket was taken and then put into with the 89, batch 89.
Yep.
And he met Lila and Teeps and Floor, and all I could see was that they had just been manipulated and molested. They had been, without consent, because they couldn't give consent. And I just was it really hit me. And I basically, anytime they did the flashbacks and they were talking to them and they were so sweet, I cried. I just couldn't not cry. When Rocket when he first got hit by Adam Warlock and they tried to bring him back, I cried then. Not when he got hit, but like when they couldn't bring him back. And so I cried like all through. And then some of it was happy tears. And then I laughed in between the crying. So it wasn't like I was, despondent through the whole movie. It was a really good emotional ride. It was a release almost. Like, I'm just gonna cry because this is so beautiful. So
now the realization of what happened, everything was a flashback. Why it's a flashback. Did you cry when he realized they were all gone?
oh yeah, I bawled. I was like ugly crying then. Like when Lila got shot, I was just like, and I, when Rocket was like going after him, I was like, you do it. I'm crying, going, you just get him. You get him now. Yeah, I mean, I was bereft at that point. But yeah, that whole thing. And then when Rocket dies, because Rocket does die, and they send him back, but with Lila and stuff, and she's like, it's not the hands that made us, it's the hands that guide the hands. And I was just like, this is so beautiful and I love it. I was crying then too.
I mean, when he got Harry Potter to met Dumbledore.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean. It totally was that. I mean, it really was.
Obviously we had Linda Carlene come back and do a voice of Lila. Do you feel like Lila should have lived with being a love interest of Rocket going forward, especially where we leave Rocket at the end of this movie?
I just don't think it's that important to couple people up. I don't know if everybody. I really don't think Rocket felt like he could be loved. The way that he started, and that he always thought, I'm ugly. I'm this, thing that was created, and I didn't even want it. And so I think him having a love interest would do a disservice to him finding out that he can be loved by people and have a best friend like Peter, and have people actually care about him enough to get him to save him. And yeah, so I honestly, I don't know if it's important that he has a love interest. I think Lila was his best friend, and I think he lost her. She was his heart.
Yeah.
And when she died, his heart died. And it took him a long time to find his heart again. And I'm going to cry right now because I'm being emotional now. But yeah, no, I do. I think that those three people were his family.
Right.
And they all died, and he cut himself off, and he only let Groot in because he felt like he had to take care of Groot. And Groot was taking care of him just as much as he was taking care of Groot. But it was, and so then that's why it was so hard for him when everybody else died in Infinity War. So after watching this movie, if you go back to Infinity War and Endgame, that's why Rocket is fighting so hard to get them to come back, because he said he couldn't change what happened to Lila and Teefs and Floor, but he could change that. And I think if you look at that, that's really the thing that they did the best in Infinity War and Endgame was Rocket. They really did a good job with that. They did a good job with Nebula too, but and she had family, and she just knew she needed to take over because Gamora wasn't there. So I really think that really, it was great. So yeah, I that was my main thing, and I loved it, and I definitely understood why Rocket was the hidden protagonist, because he's the one that keeps them all together, because he can't lose another family.
Yeah. Now, do you think he should have been easier on Peter when he pining over the loss of Gamora, knowing what he went through?
I think that they just kind of let Peter do his thing. I think what we were seeing was after months of them having to hear, oh, sad little me, sad. And they're just like, you know what, just drink yourself to death then. It's like, if it gets to the point where we think that, you're going to take one of your guns and off yourself, we're going to do something. But I think they were just letting him wallow because they didn't know what else to do. They're all dysfunctional. They all don't know how to be loved. And so to have someone who had love lose it, they're just like, I don't know how to make you better. I don't know how to fix you. And Rocket didn't know how to fix him, and he knows how to fix everything. Right. And so I think that was it. And they were just like, because in the beginning, it seemed like when they were taking him back to that they'd done that so many times before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's and that's how it is with friends. Sometimes you just got, you got to be there for your friend, and until they reach out and say, help me, you got to just be there for them. So
why doesn't Mantis not make him forget, but make him get over it? Stop grieving.
Well, I don't think she uses it that much. I think she uses it for Drax because she thinks of Drax as a baby. And as Peter's family. Peter's her half sibling. And so she doesn't, either that or she doesn't want to take in his pain.
But if being family, you think she would have said, you know what, Gamora's life, for realize that the past is the past, and kind of man up. I don't want to say man up, but you know what I mean? Like, get
badge up. Just badge up.
I'm just saying, get his, he's a guardian. He wasn't doing anyone any good, and he was being quite self-destructive. So I think a little bit help with an emotional push could have helped him make better decisions.
I think he needed that closure, and I think the only person that was going to help him with that was Gamora. And Nebula not letting him know where Gamora was basically Nebula going, look, dude, I don't want you to stalk my sister.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think they all probably knew where Gamora was. And they were just like, look, you're not ready for this yet. And it's part of it. He was grieving a Gamora that died while a different Gamora was alive. So you have to, like, it's a weird situation to begin with. But, until you're ready to take the step, then you're just going to wallow. And nobody's going to tell you either way. I mean, it doesn't matter. 50 people, person that you care about the most. Gamora could have come back from the dead and, in a little ghost vision and said, dude, stop. And he still would have done it. Because until you yourself make that decision, it's going to come out in one form or another. So,
maybe it's magical cliff that made her come back. Everyone else stayed dead.
Yeah. I don't know, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it. I think having that last adventure with Gamora, and at the end where she says, were we fun? And he was like, you have no idea. We were,
I bet we were fun.
Yeah, I bet we were fun. I think that was it. I think that was when he realized
Gamora's gone.
Yeah. He was like, okay, it's the past. And I think that was important for him. And I think that's he had already decided to go to Earth by that time, but I think just that little part of that conversation solidified his choice. Like, okay, I got to move on. And moving on means I got to go tell my remaining family that I'm still alive. So.
Yeah. And this ties into that's, we got Gamora's ending, we got Peter's ending. Let's go and talk the ending of this movie.
Okay.
I have as a non-dancer and will never be a dancer, even having kids, Drax becoming a dancer. I mean, he did it for his friends and his jobs and
jobs.
How do you feel about none of the Guardians dying? And
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved that they were all mainly intact by the end of this. So, because an ending doesn't have to be somebody dying. An ending can just be an ending of a chapter. And I feel like that's the ending of this chapter. These 3 movies were one big chapter. And at the end of that chapter, this is what happened. You don't have to kill someone, because inevitably someone's going to want to come back at some point, and then you got to bring them back from the dead. And, that doesn't go well. Though. Yeah. Well,
so I mean,
I don't really agree with that either. So
we're ended. We're kind of everyone, Drax and Nebula are in charge of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they have the kids, and, they're there. Peter goes back to Earth. Mantis going somewhere for, maybe figure out why she can take all these hard hits straight to the neck and live from it, because she hits her neck a lot in this movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's comedic falling for her. What do you think of the state of the Guardians and the team up that we have now, though? I mean, do you want to see that version of Guardians going forward? Do you want to see a new team up?
I think I think it's gonna be like there's several teams of Guardians. Like there will be more. It's like kind of like how Green Lantern. There's a ton of Green Lanterns, and each Green Lantern has their own section. And they kind of did that with Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And she's out there too. So I do think that there will be others. I think a lot of the Ravagers are really kind of also Guardians of the Galaxy. They're just a little bit more nefarious in that. But yeah, I think that there could be several. I do like that Rocket and Groot are still there, and Groot is like King Groot
Huge.
or like, I don't know, Alpha Groot or not
Yeah.
Alpha Groot, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he's giant Groot. And that they've got other people, Adam Warlock being in the
Not
Guardians.
being a baby anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he's a toddler. And and you've got Phyla in there, and you've got Kraglin. They technically Cosmo, yeah. And so I think that it's great that they did that they showed, hey, the Guardians are going to continue. And it doesn't mean that just these 6 or 7, or I think up to 9 people are going to be Guardians. It just means in some form or fashion, the Guardians of the Galaxy will always be there. And that at some point they all could lead a different team.
Mm-hmm.
Adam and Phyla could go off and be Adam Warlock and Quasar. And, so I think that there's a lot of differences. So I liked that they did that end credit scene because it shows the possibilities of what could come. It doesn't mean that's gonna be what it is, but that there are always going to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and that family is what you make of it. And that's, and I think that is the main essence of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I thought that it was good. It was bittersweet, but it was, James Gunn gave us a hug at the end. He gave us a big hug, and that I loved that. He was like, "Okay, here's all this bad stuff, and come hug it out, hug it out." And that I loved that. I loved that. It was heartfelt. It was emotional. It gave me what I needed. It gave me an ending, and then said, "Okay, the possibilities are endless." And I think that's what we needed. That's especially what we needed as MCU fans, because we have been in this grief for far too long, and we don't need to be in it anymore. We need to come out the other side and know that the sun is still shining somewhere.
Thank you for loving this take. So, I mean, yeah, I know there's a lot of hate going on there. You've seen James Gunn reply to Twitter posts, people like, if this is the Guardians I have, I'm glad this is done type crap out there, which is, who cares? It's
They've got to hate something. People have got to hate on the MCU right now. That it's just and they couldn't hate on the movie itself because it was so good that they had to find something to hate on.
Yeah.
So.
And it's I think the ending is left open and book open enough to be a final chapter, or as you said, for people to come back. And I think I think let's face it, where it says the legendary Star-Lord will return, do you think it's going to be Peter Quill? And it's going to be his grandpa is pretty old. And he is not going to like Earth life forever. Let's face it. He's been out among the stars. He likes all that stuff. I think he will return at some point in time when his grandpa goes and he realizes he needs to be with Mantis, or there will be a call to arms, or Mantis is taken and is in a bad situation where she needs help. Not rescue. I won't say rescued, where she finds this great thing out there that she needs to get some of her family back together.
I think that it leaves the door open for him to come back, but I also think it leaves the door open for someone else to take up the mantle of Star-Lord. So it could go either way. Now, I think not helping Mantis, but I think maybe Mantis finds other offspring of Ego. and she tells Peter about that. And whatever Peter decides to do, that's what it'll be. So we may see Mantis again, and she may take on the mantle of Star-Lord. We could see just somebody else. I think at some point Kitty Pryde was the legendary Star-Lord for a little bit. And so it could be anyone else. And I think that would be really great. I would love to see that. I think saying the legendary Star-Lord will return keeps it just vague enough that if Chris Pratt decides to come back and be legendary Star-Lord for something, I think that would be amazing. I really think the funniest thing I think that could happen is he shows up in Secret Invasion, like he's just on vacation to New York or something, and this whole Secret Invasion, or he's in London, and he's, and it's like, hey, I'm just here on vacation, and then he just shows up, and all this crap's happening around him. He's like, guys, I'm on vacation. Everybody else is freaking out. He's like, no, I'm on vacation, and you see him like get into a phone and be like, when can I get tickets back to Missouri? Like he doesn't want to be a part of it at all. I would love to see something like that, just to be like, no, I'm done with this. I don't care who it is. I'm just done for now. I'd love to see something like that. Or they just mention, hey guys, Star-Lord's on Earth. Just some little thing where people are keeping tabs on him, but you don't see him. And I think that might be a good thing. But there's so many possibilities for him on Earth now. He's just going to go through the women. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Because,
So I have two thoughts on him being on Earth. Number one, he should go, you have a freaking celestial coming out of the ocean?
Why has no one said anything?
Like, could he be the one to set up the base inside the head? Because he was inside a celestial head.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I think he could be the one to build the base in the celestial coming out of the ocean.
That's true. He could be the one. He'd be like, guys, have you ever thought about, I don't know, mining the stuff that's in here?
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is really good stuff.
So
we can make a lot of money on this.
He could advance Earth technology with his knowledge.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if Reed Richards there might be something there too, because he's got to do it. So.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to see him mowing that and just side-eyeing the 45-year-old guy that's just sitting on the porch. That would be great.
Yeah, and I think with your point there, Frey, of him being other people keeping tabs, he still has enemies.
Oh yeah.
He could. Terran has been off the radar for a lot of things, cosmically, and with him being there and being this Star-Lord making enemies, he could bring Earth into the cosmic fold as a whole.
This could be where the Shi'ar come in. Look, I was wrong on this on the Secret Invasion. I don't think they're going to be in there. I do think they might mention it in the Marvels, and I think that something may go on. Maybe he got a little close to one of the Shi'ar, and now he's a dad. And the Shi'ar are looking for him because he's a daddy, and he's back on. He needs to do his back pay on child support or something. Because I could totally see that. Something like that. That would be great. And then the Shi'ar are like, oh, hey, yeah. Oh, also, here are mutants. There you go. Bye.
Shi'ar Lord.
There you go. Shi'ar Lord.
Yeah. I mean, he's essentially Cyclops' dad, of the Starjammers. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's a lot of kids too, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. I think it's time to start wrapping up. Any final points or what you say about Guardians?
I can't wait to see it again. I was just talking about that. It's like, man, I need to see this again. And I loved it. I just thought it was such a great movie. I mean, they're a little like that whole helmet thing. Helmet Gate. Everybody's talking about. I mean, we saw Ego destroy it into Infinity War and Endgame. He had it, but James Gunn didn't have anything to do with that. James Gunn has said, oh, guys, he left it in his drawer, and he didn't have the rockets on his boots because Rocket made that, those over the chest things, and those were much better. And he just didn't have that. I think partially, Peter was ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I think he was like, fine, you know what? I'll Tony Stark this. I'll be the one to sacrifice myself so that everybody else can live. And then Adam Warlock was like, I'm baby, I'm rescuing you. And, and it was a great little, pointy thing.
Oh, hold on. Let's do it.
Oh, wait.
Wrong way. There you go. No,
but yeah, I think that was my thing that I was like, okay, but I didn't even think about the helmet or that, because I was just like, dude is hung over. He's freaking hung over. Do you know how many times I've forgotten things when I was hung over? Look, my whole 20s and 30s, there were things I would forget because of hangovers. So I don't, I mean, Bradley Cooper was in The Hangover. They lost a person.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you what can happen when you're hungover. But yeah, so I mean, that was my whole thing. And I'm just like, guys, just suspend disbelief. Come on, suspend disbelief.
Right.
So
yeah, I told I didn't go see it with my co-host. I usually take my oldest to see these as well because she got into the MCU. We went through everything. We haven't watched the past couple ones. Things got sidetracked with school and sports and all that stuff. The wife asked, it's like, how was it? I go, you will cry, and not for the reasons you think.
Yeah. Oh, and that's it. And like, people are like, well, who dies? And I'm like, well, one person dies because Rocket does technically die. He does come back, but he does die. And so that's why I'm saying one person does die, but
and all encounter Earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was the most horrible part, but so much was happening during that. You don't have time. Like, I didn't cry during that at all because there was so much other stuff going on. And then, Mantis and Nebula and Drax going, we got to save Peter. And so they get on the ship. And so then Peter has to come back. He's like, guys, I told you I had it covered. Why did you go? And so and that was great. And so then that led to the hallway scene, which Marvel does hallways and elevator scenes so well.
Oh, yeah.
And the song that went, oh my gosh, it was just great. It was a masterclass in how to do a group fight scene and put it to music.
There you go.
So, and I think we've talked long enough because
it's time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Well, then, why don't you go ahead and start us with
so
our
much
pluggables
for us
here.
Trying to do under an hour. So I am Frey Girl, the Corglisi. I am here on Saturdays with my wonderful co-host because I never get to hype him up. But this guy, he knows his stuff. Y'all just gotta know. This guy right here, great host. He knows his stuff. So you're welcome. But yeah, I'm here on Saturdays. On Tuesdays, you can catch me on the download with Distance Nerding, and I mod for both channels. If you guys want us to talk about something, please, join our Discord and just tell us what you want to nerd out about, and we will absolutely do it. Between both of us, he's got like the horror stuff covered, and I'm a huge comic book nerd, and occasionally other stuff. Right now, I'm totally invested in Love and Death on HBO. So I'm like, I love the show. But yeah, so we don't just talk about this. You want us to talk about something else? You want us to talk about how the Lakers beat Golden State last night? Yeah, we can talk about that. I thought it was amazing, and yay. But yeah, that's it. So definitely join us. Yeah.
Where can we follow you?
You can follow me at Freygirl on Twitter and at Gotham_Oracle on Instagram, and then on TikTok, which I have been really lax on my TikTok. But you can follow me there. It's Gotham.Oracle. I also got my other one back, Frey_Girl. And I have been trying to post stuff on both. So if you either one, but yeah. And yeah. But you can find me I'm usually on the Discord. So if you say something, I'll be there. And yeah. So yeah, but that's it.
Cool.
That's me.
And I'm Graveyard, co-host of the Mostly Pilot Night Mostly. Oh, look, double.
Hey, double, boil and trouble. Wait,
yes.
No, that's not it. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So in 5 days, all our stuff will be exclusively on Comic-Con Radio for the time being. So make sure to check that out. We be putting our new episodes up there. I'll be posting all that stuff as I normally do. Follow us at Pod Out at Night on all social media. Where we post our reviews, we post our stuff, we post stuff that we want to hear from people as well. You want to talk horror movies with me and other people here, join the Kyber Cave Discord. Well, I am always on there as well. I'm also a mod on there as well. So come talk horror with us. On top of that, you can find me 4 days a week here at Kyber Cave Productions. Thursday, you can see me doing brackets on distance learning. Love them. So yeah, make sure to check all that stuff out. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear, for our gaming side, what games you want to see us play. So make sure to check that out and post what you want to see us play. If you want to torture me with bad games on Retro Alcove, post what you want to put me on there. I know Aubrey wants to torture me more with Lord of the Rings.
No,
I have it.
I know you do.
Yeah. So, it's our growing community. Let's get it going, guys. And, I like to thank Frey Girl here and for all our cavers, dwellers, and spelunkers for joining us as always. And make sure to check out our Patreon where we have free swag for people. It costs as little as $1 a month. Higher tiers get you freer, better stuff. We just gave away 5 lightsabers to the Patreons 2 weeks ago. So make sure to check that out. Also, like, comment, subscribe to this video. The more you share, the more lightsabers we give away on our shows as well. For every 100 subscribers, we give away a lightsaber. So make sure to share that out. So please, please, please. So on behalf of Frigger and myself, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow night for Saber Rattle.
Don't forget to nerd out.
Yes, bye.
Bye.